I'm Debbie Peverill, and you're listening to the Weekly Tip from Basic Board Governance. So I've been talking about risk registers, and I'm still talking a little bit about risks today. But one of the things that I've been hearing, and I hear lots of stuff about governance, is words that are fairly new to me. The term Polycrisis, which means you have more than one crisis going on at the same time, and the term Permacrisis, which means you have a crisis that never goes away, that is a permanent kind of crisis. So the question I've got looking at the risk registers, which we've talked about the last 2 weeks, is at what point does a risk or a collection of risk become a crisis? And what does the organization do differently if it is a crisis? How do you determine that? So climate change, fairly often referred to as the climate crisis. This is not new. This has been going on for quite some time. I recently remembered that I did my grade 6 science project on pollution. So this was decades ago, and it was considered to be a big deal then that, we were polluting the environment and what was going to happen. And now, of course, we have some objective evidence about how climate change is affecting businesses and affecting the ability to insure risks. So you might have on your risk register something you cannot get away from and something you cannot insure. So, is your building insured for all things? And in some areas of the world, you can't get insurance for things like hurricanes or flooding because it's just too expensive for the insurance companies to deal with that. So how does an organization deal with that? Does that make it a crisis? So the polycrisis idea is that we, at the same time, we have perhaps a tariff crisis and we have a climate crisis. And do we have an economic crisis because we have a recession? How do all those things affect what you're doing? So what I would suggest is taking a look at putting together your risk registers and, what does the organization face for risk? What should we be doing about it? That, is the terminology crisis in any way helpful? And if it is, the organization needs to figure out when do we call something a crisis and when is it just a risk?